Greetings all. How are you? Hopefully everything is good. Today we're gonna start with, or we're gonna complete water pollution, and we're gonna take sources of water pollution. But before that, we're gonna do the homework, which I believe was only one question about the importance of water. The question was explain how water is important. Now, you already have it in the book. We have learned that the water makes up more than 70% of Earth, our planet Earth. We said also it's the habitat of many sea animals and creatures that live there, species, as we took it, or species. Both we said pronunciations are correct. Here's the question. Question number one. So, how is water so important? We can find all this in the book, plus the videos that I have showed you last class. So, it makes more than 70% of our planet, Earth. And these water bodies are the habitat of many species or sea creatures, sea animals, and also, we said we need water in many different ways in everyday living, especially cooking, drinking, cleaning, plus agriculture, industry, and construction. Okay, so you can choose any three reasons you want from here or from the videos that I have showed you. Now, today we're going to start with sources of water pollution. Now, we said already we have a clean water from the rain, the snow, lakes, rivers that God already created on earth. But how water gets polluted, that's what we're going to learn about today. Now, first sources of water pollution farming and raising livestock and poultry. Now, farming, we already know it means planting new plants, whether they're something we want to eat or just for decoration, like roses and flowers. So, farming, imagine in general, is a source of pollution. Now, we're going to see why farming is a source of pollution. Plus, raising livestock and poultry. Now, what do I mean by livestock? The sheep, the cows, all the animals that we raise in farms. These are the livestock. Okay? Here are the livestock. Okay, so they are like, of course, in other countries they raise different animals, but mostly we raise cows and sheep for their milk or their meat. Okay, now the poultry, on the other hand, are the birds, like chickens, chicks. Some people they also raise ducks for their eggs or sometimes for their meat. Okay, so this is the poultry. So the livestock, sheep and cows and big animals. The poultry, which we call it in Arabic الدواجن, are only the birds. Okay, and the livestock we call it الماشية. Okay, so raising these animals also cause pollution. So, farming, raising livestock, and poultry are sources of many pollutants. Now, for example, now we're going to talk about farming more and how it's a big problem. The use of fertilizers. Now, what are fertilizers? You can see them here in the picture, and I'm going to show you also other pictures. These are chemical substances. They help in the growth of the plants and the crops to make them grow healthier, bigger, and faster sometimes. So these are chemical substances. They're not let's say natural. Okay, you can see here the role of fertilizers in agriculture. So it helps in farming a lot, but it causes pollution. So these are fertilizers. Why do we need fertilizers? In order to make the crops grow healthier and bigger. And we have another problem, which is pesticides. Now, what are the pesticides? Let's see it together. Pesticides are what the farmers, let's say, splash on the plants in order to kill insects, to kill any animal could, let's say, try to approach these crops to ruin them, to eat them, to make a mess in them. So what do? They bring these pesticides and try to, let's say, regularly splash it on the plant so that they would grow without any insects or animals attack. Of course, that's why we need to wash what we bring from the market very well because mostly they are let's say, covered with these pesticides, or we call in Arabic المبيدات الحشرية. Okay, you can see it's how on their backs and they're covering their mouths, as you can see here, because the smell and of course it's chemical, it's not good, it's harmful even for their bodies. Okay. So, what is harmful in farming? Again, not growing plants and trees, fertilizers, and pesticides. In farming, may pollute both the surface water and the groundwater. Now, surface water is what we see on Earth, like oceans, seas, lakes, the surface. What is the groundwater? The groundwater is beneath the soil or sometimes the deep side of the water. Here we have the surface water. Let's see it together. Okay, this is surface water. Okay, all of these, the surface where we can see at the top. So once they get these pesticides or fertilizers, they get polluted. Plus, of course, the groundwater. The ground is here beneath the soil or beneath the water body itself, which is the bottom of the water body. Okay, so it harms both the surface water and groundwater. Okay, so we're done with farming and, of course, raising livestock and poultry. Now, we have another problem, which is the factories. Many factories discharge, they release their sewage and chemical waste into rivers and seas. Now, the sewage is a pipe system, you can see it here, that releases all the dirty water, whether they're from washing their hands, using the toilets. They have pipes, which we call a sewage. And where do they release it? Into lakes, rivers, and nearby seas. And this is wrong. Of course, you can't do that. Plus, also, they release or discharge their chemicals waste. The chemical waste, wherever they don't need, they just throw it in the sea. And this is also cause pollution. So the factories, they do two wrong things. They discharge sewage plus chemical waste into rivers and seas. And this is the sewage, as we said, the piping system in houses and factories that releases or discharges the dirty water. Okay. Moreover, countries that do not have enough sewage treatment plants throw untreated sewage into nearby rivers, lakes, or seas. So, most countries, or let's say developed countries, they have a sewage treatment plants. What is that? Let's see it together. Now, it's a, let's say, process, a complicated process that cleans the water that comes out of the sewage before discharge it into the sea or the lake or the nearby river. So they try to filter it, they clean it, they remove all the chemicals and the dirt that could harm the environment, and they put it in trash, and they release, let's say, not very clean water, but better than before. Now, some countries do not have these systems. They do not have this big process to clean their sewage water, and they just discharge it as bad as it is. So we can see it here. So many countries do not have sewage treatment plants, so they throw untreated, not cleaned, not filtered sewage into nearby rivers, lakes, or seas. Okay, so that was our lesson for today, learning about sources of water pollution. As we said, first we have farming and raising livestock and poultry, raising animals and chickens, plus farming, how farming is a problem, using fertilizers and pesticides that harms the soil and the water beneath it, or sometimes the surface water, not only the groundwater. Second source we learned, or third, let's call it, the factories. And the factories do two things that could help or improve the water pollution. First, the sewage plus chemical waste. They throw it into rivers and seas. And a lot of countries do not have sewage treatment plants, so they throw untreated sewage into nearby rivers, lakes, or seas. Okay, that's it for today. The homework will be only one question. It's going to be mentioned four sources of water pollution. So you're going to choose any four sources. I'm going to show you videos also you can choose from. And that will be it. Let's watch together.
Water is a basic resource that guarantees the life of all living beings on the planet. However, its scarcity and pollution cause millions of people to have poor access to this much-needed asset. Humans are the main cause of water pollution, which is triggered in many ways: by the dumping of industrial waste, due to temperature rise that causes the alteration of water by reducing the oxygen in its composition, or due to deforestation, which causes sediments and bacteria to appear under the soil and therefore contaminate groundwater.
So this is the groundwater. So it gets polluted, first the surface, then the groundwater.
In the same way, the pesticides used in
These
agricultural
are the pesticides that we use in agriculture.
fields filter through underground channels and reach the consumption networks, and also as a result of accidental spillage of oil.
Now, spillage of oil, we did not take it in the book, but you can also use it as a source of water pollution. Some ships and boats, they leak, sorry, and spill oil by mistake.
And what are the main consequences of this? Firstly, the disappearance of biodiversity and aquatic ecosystems. Also, humans are harmed by the alteration in the food chain and by contracting illnesses when drinking or using contaminated water.
Contaminate means
For all
dirty or
this, we
polluted.
must ensure water availability, its sustainable management, and sanitation for all.
Okay, the last thing we're gonna see is this one. It's not all also. It's about also sources of water pollutions by humans.
Human causes. Some human causes for water pollution are sewage, fertilizers and pesticides from farms, waste from factories and construction sites. Acid rain. Acid rain can turn lakes acidic, and it kills fish and other animals. Oil spillage. Oil spills generally happen in the ocean and cause many devastating effects to animals, plants, and humans.
All
Let's see
species.
some effects of water pollution. Death.
Okay, I'm gonna stop here. So we have learned a lot about water sources of water pollution. You can choose any sources you want, either from the book or the videos that we have watched about oil spillage. We learned about fertilizers, pesticides, sewage, chemical waste, throwing garbage, different things. So you can choose anything to answer here in the homework. That's it for today. Hopefully you have enjoyed the lesson. Have a wonderful day.